And if you're just joining us, welcome to another Brightspace in Focus session. My name's Lachlan Kalish. I'm joined by Kelly Boone from the project team as well. Kelly will be helping to steer what's happening in the chat and to pull me up if I'm saying anything politically incorrect. I hope I might kill Teams in the background so we don't have that coming into the recording as well. And I'll share my screen. Today's inFocus session is going to be looking at setup of assessment and specifically finalising the setup of assessment. So look, what I'm going to do in this space is I'm going to look at a variety of different subject sites, their grade books and their assessment setups. My expectation is that you're probably going to have different types of questions from your own subjects as well that you potentially want considered, and we'll get to as many of those as we can as well. So look, by way of context, my expectation is that a lot of people have potentially been working before the week -4 kind of cutoff in their master site, setting up assessment shells, whether they were quizzes or assignments or discussions, and that when their session subject sites were published, those shells carried across and then needed to be configured or customized to the specific teaching session. And if I was to take any given subject's code, if anyone wants to give me a suggestion for a subject site, I'm happy to go into one. Any code at all? NRS 386, thank you very much. We can see we've got a master site, we've got a session site for 2460. So let's open the session site. And I'm going to check a few things at this point. One of them is I want to get a snapshot of the subject outline to check that it's been published. So I'm going to bring that up. I can see as a convener, for example, I can see both cohorts. The students only see the subject outline that they have access to. Here's my table of assessment items. There's 3 there. I'm going to just take a snip of this quickly so I have it as a reference on the side. I'm interested in things like due dates, the type of task it is. I can see we've got a satisfactory, unsatisfactory task going on as well. Oh, Nicole, you're spoiling me. There's too many different things to look at here. All right, I'll move that over to the left so I've got it on file. All right. Now, next thing I want to look at is what type of things have I got waiting inside my assignment dashboard? And I can see we have got assessment shells set up for different cohorts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cohorts potentially. And I can see again, some of them at least, we've got things like release conditions in place, which means that these have been tied to a particular cohort. So that's good. And I can see we've got one here that says online. When we say online here, Nicole, are we talking Bathurst distance versus Bathurst internal?
Just online students, distance students, full stop.
Full stop. So is there a cohort that's just called online?
Distance, I think it is. But yeah, so I've got Bathurst internal students this session and the online cohort, and the other 4 aren't this session. I'm on an off session. All
right, let me just see how the subject outline represents that information again. Okay, so it's according to the system, they're Bathurst distance and Bathurst internal. That's Bathurst distance is just how your online cohort is represented here. That's all. Okay. So at the moment, those items, the only 2 icons I can see are the restriction for the cohorts and also that Turnitin has been turned on. That's good. Now I want to check the gradebook to see what columns have come across that I can work with. If you're getting this message about Turnitin, it's garbage, get rid of it. Don't worry about re-enabling. If you can see the Turnitin binoculars next to the assessment items here, it's set up. You don't have to do anything else. All right, let's open up the gradebook. Now, this first view that we get, our enter grades view, particularly if you've got a number of cohorts or assessment items, it's a little bit unwieldy. It scrolls across the page too much. I'm going to switch to my manage grades view up the top, which will allow me to get that top-down view. Much easier to work with this when I'm just looking at it like this. So I can see I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 items from the outline. So I can see these look like, it's interesting. Bathurst distance, the nursing assessment standard tool, which I don't think you have your columns yet, is my maybe potentially
Possibly
Nicole?
not. Yeah, probably not.
I'm just looking at it going, your subject outline calls them, oh no, we're okay. So Australian Nursing Standards tool, that's this one.
Yep.
Okay. So that's good for then we've got a case study, good for Bathurst distance, and we've got a case study report. So we've got each of them.
Oh yeah, they changed the names.
Bathurst distance.
Yeah, they changed the names in the subject outline, I think, after I did the master site with these headings.
Right. But what I'm thinking is that you don't have these same 3 assessments for your internal cohort yet.
Yeah, rightio.
Right. So I can see 3 that are there.
Yep.
With the right naming conventions and the names as per the outline, but the other one for your internal cohort, they're not there yet. So I would expect to see those appearing this afternoon, for example. It's taking time for them to populate.
Is that an automated thing? I don't need to do something?
You don't need to do anything about it. Right. Now, I will point out there's a few other things. This nursing standards item, for example, has a value of 1. That's a satisfactory, unsatisfactory task, yeah?
Yep.
Okay, and that is exactly how those tasks from your outline, satisfactory, unsatisfactory, are created in the gradebook. They are a numeric column out of 1. And what I'm going to do is show you how to make sure that they don't contribute to the overall value of the subject, the cumulative total. Otherwise, you're going to get kind of a value out of 101, for example, things like that. Looks like that might actually be in place because this is only talking about 150 rather than 151. All right, so what we can do now, Nicole, is we can finalize the assessment for these 3, for the distance cohort. All right, so the columns are ready for us. I'm going to go back into my assignment dashboard. And let's have a look at this first one. Nursing standards. I'm going to edit the assignment. Now I can see we have a release condition in place, which changes it. So this is for Bathurst internal.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
If it doesn't have online, so that's how I distinguish them. Bathurst internal, and then online was the Bathurst distance BD one. But
the columns we have in the gradebook are for Bathurst distance, so they are for online, right? So that's the one that we can finish setting up.
Yeah.
Okay, excellent. All right, so I'm going to edit this. And the things that I have missing at the moment are the grade, the due date, for example. You have set up the cohort already, which is great. So let's finish setting this up. If I click inside the grade out of column, you'll see straight away it gives me this box saying in the grade book. I want to actually hit the drop down here and I want to link it to an existing column in the gradebook. These are our new ones that have come from the subject outline. Click on that and I have to link to an existing, and then it'll give me the list. Which ones? So this is Bathurst distance and it is the first one, the standards assessment tools. As soon as I select it, it will show me the point value underneath, just so I know that it's the right one. This is a mark out of 1 because it's satisfactory, unsatisfactory, so that's good. This pulls the grade automatically in here, so you don't have to type in the number. It'll pull it automatically from that column. Now we can put in a due date. Yours is variable, so I'll leave that alone. Is that okay?
Yes, please. Yep.
Yep, okay. That now means that this assessment setup is done. Once we hit save and close, what we're going to see with our icons now is that ribbon is there telling me that it is connected to the gradebook. So, and it's not hidden, it's visible to students, it's been restricted to a cohort. This looks perfect to me. So are we happy to move on to the next item? Which will be assessment 2, following the categories that you created here. We're going to set up assessment 2 for the online cohort. So I'm going to edit the assignment. And that one already had been published to the gradebook, right? So it has created that extra column that we saw before, Nicole. That's why I was a bit confused, because there is a column in your gradebook called this. So what we're actually going to do with this is I'm going to reset it. Maybe, yeah, let's just change which one it links to. Either of those options would work. But if I click on link to existing, hit the drop down, it is Bathurst distance, and it's the case study presentation.
Yes. Yep.
So now it's linked to the right item. You'll see it's pulling those points across. But what's happened here is that you've published it to the gradebook before the subject outline columns were populated.
Mm-hmm.
That's why we got that extra column. I'm going to fix this up.
Yep.
The due date that we have there is the 7th. That's fine. The release condition ties it to that cohort. That's also fine. So this is now set up.
Do you recommend that after we finish today's session, I change it from online, the assignment title, and just make it Bathurst distance? So it
I think for clarity's sake, because it says that in the outline, it's probably a good idea.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Now it's just refreshing for some reason. It's okay. I'll do it from here. All right. What I'm going to do is go into your gradebook now and get rid of that extra column. Switching to my manage grades view. We said that the one that you'd accidentally published before to the gradebook is this one called online.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
The way that we get rid of it is we start by clicking on more actions up the top and then delete. This will give me a list of all of the ones in the gradebook that I want to get rid of. So if you have to do it for more than one item, it's very easy to do so. And then you just check however many boxes you want to get rid of. You'll notice that these ones here, I cannot select, and that is because they have been linked already. Once they're linked, you can't delete the column. They've actually got to be unlinked. And then I can remove that first one. Yep, I'm really sure. Okay, and it's gone. So now we have the 3 items that have come across for that cohort. What that leaves us with at this point is the 3rd assessment that we need to tie to the gradebook. So if I scroll down to the category that says assessment 3 for the online cohort, there it is. And it has no ribbon next to it. So this has not been connected to a gradebook column. I'm going to edit the assignment. I'm going to go straight to the graded section. By clicking on that, it gives me the gradebook box. And now I can link to existing, find the column under link to existing, and there it is, the case study report. It's worth 50. When I click on OK, it's going to populate my grade out of box. There it is. Due date, link to the gradebook, restriction in place here underneath. This is now perfect. Hit save and close, and it's ready to roll. All right, so those are done. These other ones are all hidden. The students are not going to see those.
And do I need to do the same process for the Bathurst internal as well?
Yep.
That one to the grade
When the columns come from the gradebook, you'll need to do that same process. We're just waiting for those columns to appear from the outline tool. And I'd be hopeful that you'll see those in an hour or two.
Yep.
All right. Look, I'm going to stop there for a second. Kelly, can I check in with you and see if I've got questions waiting for me?
Yes, Cherie would actually have some questions. Just wanted to jump into her subject, EPT 122. Just wanted to check about assessments.
I think you might have a bit of a dodgy connection there, Kel, lagging out a little bit maybe, but that's okay. EPT 122.
Yeah, I think I've played around with it too much.
Okay, no worries. Not a problem. All right. So what am I looking at?
Okay, so when you go to my grades, okay, I think I have, and I go to manage grades. Yep. See,
okay, I got 2 columns.
I don't think they came across. I think I'm playing with it before it's come across.
I would say so. How many cohorts do you have?
I have 3 cohorts, and I haven't had
If we have a look at the outline, for example,
yes.
first, right? What I'm
Yep.
expecting to see is how many assessments do you have in the outline?
3 each.
Okay, so we're looking for 9 columns, right? And they're going to have these markers at the beginning, W_I, colon, and then the name of the assessment as per the outline.
Okay,
So if
what
I
happens?
go in here, yep.
What happens if I look? I don't know. Maybe it has come over and I've deleted it all. How can I fix it? If I have,
You would know if they were all there. I mean, did you have a whole heap of columns before and you deleted a bunch?
I did, but I thought that was because I had linked them and I'd made up I tried to link them, but they wouldn't let me link. So that's why I think it hasn't been transferred over yet, because I was unable to link to existing.
Okay. Well, I think in that case, if you're unable to link to existing, then they haven't come from the outline yet.
Okay.
You'll probably have them a bit later this afternoon. If you don't have them sort of tomorrow, just reach out to me and
Yep.
we can create the columns or check it out. It's not the end of the world if you've created the columns yourself.
Okay.
The end result is that one way or the other, we need only one set of the columns in the gradebook.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Best practice is we wait for the gradebook columns to come from the outline, then we link. Then we're only doing it once.
Yeah, I get that. Yes. So patience is a virtue.
In this case, for it running in this particular session, yes, I think
Yep.
the process is going to get better. But what you're looking for, particularly with the naming conventions, is the cohort indicator first, then a
Yes.
colon, and then the name as per the subject outline.
Okay. Now I honestly don't think that has happened as yet.
Yeah. So I think it's just a matter of waiting. Yeah.
Yeah. I do have another question on, is it Nicole's site that you were on? She had the same student numbers.
Yes, regardless of the cohort.
Yeah. So how will that fix itself, or how does that work?
At the moment, it doesn't narrow down the numbers showing in the dashboard to particular cohorts. It just gives you a number out of the entire number of students enrolled. So it's feedback we've given back to the vendor saying, can you please adjust this? So even though you've tied these to cohorts, the number under completed, evaluated, published doesn't reflect this cohort particularly. It's all of the students.
Okay. So that's another, don't worry about it yet.
Don't worry about it at this point. We've provided the feedback. I expect that there'll be a fix in the works for it, but at the moment it's going to show all of the students in the subject. And
my last question is, with the setting up, like I noticed, I think it was Nicole's subject, she had assessment 1, assessment 2, assessment 3 as her categories, where I've got Wagga internal, Bathurst internal.
And it's completely up to you, whatever works for you.
Yep. Okay. That's it for me.
No worries.
I can wait.
All right. Kel, let me check in with you before I start going off on a tangent. What other questions have I got waiting?
Yeah, Kelly put one in there saying that she just did this and now has 2 columns. I'm not sure what she was referring to.
Oh, Kelly Jackson, can I get a subject code?
Yeah, EEL 523.
Let's have a look at the session site.
I'm so proud of myself. I thought I was doing really well.
Yeah, well, I think a lot of people went through and said, I can do this. It's so obvious. Yeah. All right. So if I have a look first at your assessment dashboard, published to the gradebook. Okay. So yes, you've done that yourself. And then we have a look at the outline. I'll take a snapshot. There it is. Take that over there. Then we go into the gradebook. Okay, and I can see columns with cohort markers in front of them and then the names. These have come from the outline, which is good. Yep. I'm going to switch to manage grades. So
but if you keep scrolling, there's just there's 2 columns, Lachlan. That's the problem.
I see. These are the ones that you did.
Yeah.
These are the ones that came from the outline.
Yeah.
Not a problem. Not a problem at all. So the first thing we want to do is link the assessments to the right columns, and then we'll get rid of these ones.
Beautiful.
So if we go into assignments and edit the assignment. Well, I want to put this to you that you can leave the ones that you created and delete the ones that came from the outline.
Sure.
The end result is exactly the same. There's no difference. However, for cleanness sake and for kind of best practice moving forward, I want to show you the right way that it's meant to be set up. Is that we want, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. So can I ask why we got 2, I guess? Because when we that was a little bit what we couldn't understand, is just why we ended up with 2.
So when you create the shell,
Yep.
it's decontextualized with no grade, no due dates, and no restriction to a particular cohort yet.
Yep.
That comes across from the master, ideally, and then you wait for the outline and then tie them together. If, however, you've gone ahead and provided the weighting and immediately it's appeared here as in gradebook and you've hit save and close, it created a column right then and there on the spot. That's why it's doubled up.
Okay, so because we weren't ready in the master yet, so what we
Yep.
did obviously was just add this into the subject site.
Yep.
Yeah. So is that then what happened? We then hit. It had the in grade book, so we
That's
were like,
the thing.
huzzah,
As soon as you try to put in a grade out of, this box appears automatically,
okay.
and it's going to create a column for you unless you actually choose it as ungraded, for example.
Okay.
Not in gradebook would do it as well. But anyway, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to link this, the first assessment, to an existing part in the gradebook, which is cohort first.
Yeah.
And then the task. So that looks like the first one. It's worth 10. The 10 will then populate how much the weighting is worth. And we can hit save and close and we're done.
Beautiful.
You could restrict this to a cohort if you wanted to. I think you haven't done that at the moment. You've just labeled it. Seems like they're all Wagga distance or something, but but if there's only the one cohort, that doesn't matter.
Yep.
All right, so that one's been done. We do the second one. Sharing the progress. So I'm going to link to existing. Change it to Wagga distance, sharing the progress. Save and close. And then the third one. No, these don't have Turnitin or anything set up at the moment, right?
Okay. Yep.
And I'm going to link to existing. Change this, Wagga distance, summary and reflection. Okay, so they're now linked to the correct columns that have come from the subject outline. What that means is that inside the gradebook, we can now go into our manage grades view, which gives us the top down of all of the items. I'm going to hit this more actions section at the top and delete. And I'm going to get rid of the 3 columns that we no longer need.
Beautiful.
The other ones I can't select, they're grayed out because we've linked them.
Yep.
Hit delete. And we're in business.
Thank you. One more question, if I may. The administrative override, we also have a column in there at the end that says something like adjust final grades or something.
Final adjusted grade, yeah.
So what would sort of then be the difference between the admin override and that final adjusted now?
Yeah, it's a really good question. So admin override is where they can put in those other labels. Your best bet with this is to actually change the view from the from the standard view that we're looking at to the spreadsheet view. This will make this a lot clearer.
Great.
You'll see now that these are actually select boxes, and that's where we get all of our labels for what else is being done with this student's grade. That's what the admin override column is for. The administrative override column at the end that you were talking about is adjustments to score. And these are other flags for things that are happening with the student, right?
Beautiful.
So they're separate functions.
Beautiful.
Okay.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you so much.
No problem. All right. Next up, Kel.
All right. Yep. Next up is Elizabeth. She's having some troubles where she clicks into the assignments but can't see anything there.
Have we got a subject code?
I think I'm just confused between what's filtering through from the subject outline and what I actually need to create myself.
Okay. Can you give me a subject code, Elizabeth?
I am 514.
Say that again. Sorry, a bit soft.
HRM 514.
Yep. HRM 514. Got it. All right. So I better close some of these tabs at some point. All right, if we have a look first at the subject outline, I'll get a snapshot of it. We've got 3 tasks. Put that over here. Now I'm going to go in and have a look at what's awaiting for you in the gradebook. If we're lucky, the columns will be created. Now, at the moment, you're not lucky because your columns are not here. So that means that you've got to wait probably this afternoon for each of these 3 columns to appear inside your gradebook, right? So we're waiting for those columns to be there before we can finalize the assessment process. However, what you need underneath your assignment dashboard are 3 shells. So basically you're creating the submission point for the students. Yeah, so if we create that, I have a quick guide on creating assignments. Do you want me to drop it into the chat for you?
Thank you.
No worries. But that's what you need. You need the 3 assignment shells created in here. And then when the columns are created, you can tie them together. And if you have these made in your master site, you'll never have to make them again. They'll copy every session for you.
I think that's where I was confused. I thought these might also filter through like the
Yeah, it doesn't create this submission point for you. You've got to actually have that in place and then you tie it to the column.
All right. Thank you very much.
That's okay. Kel, if you want to ask me the next one while I'm searching for this.
Yes, it's actually Robin. She's just after some help, but Robin, just grab a subject code, please.
Yeah, it's BMS 423.
Okay. Yeah,
I think, Lachlan, it's the same as the last one you did, where I've named them different things and I have to link them.
Did I hear that correctly? BMS 423?
Yeah.
Okay, great. All
There's
right.
only 2 assessments, which is handy.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. I did put that quick guide in the chat for anyone that wanted it as well. Okay, we got an exam. We've got a written report. Is the exam using the quiz tool or is it using the assignment tool?
Well, that's the thing. I've set it up in the quiz tool, but it's an online invigilated exam run by the exams team. So they'll end up putting the link in at some point. I don't know how. That's why I'm asking for help, because
that's an interesting one.
Yeah, because I still can't really get a clear answer on how that's going to work.
Okay. All right. So I can see we've created a few columns yourself and we've got the ones that have come through from the outline that have the cohort indicated first before the colon, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's deal with that. Written report ended. So really we only want those 2 columns. The other ones have got to go. What we're going to do is jump into firstly your assignment dashboard. I'm going to edit this one.
Yeah.
And we're going to link to an existing column in the gradebook. And the one that we want is Wagga distance written report.
Okay, so you
That's
have to link it to the one that's been pulled from the subject.
You should link it to the one from the subject outline. That's the scenario that has been tested sort of front to back so that grade transfer goes through without any hitches. I'm less certain that if people use columns they've created themselves, that at the end of session when we try and do grade transfer, there won't be some hiccup as a result.
Yeah.
These ones have been labeled in a specific way, tagged in a specific way. So, all right, so we've linked that. That all looks okay. You only have the 1 cohort in the subject?
Yeah.
Yeah, perfect. All right, so we don't have to worry about restrictions. So hit save and close. All right, that takes care of the assignment. I'm going to have a look at your quiz dashboard for a second.
Yeah. So what
Okay.
I've done here is I've set up an information page so they can read about what will happen, like what the exam will contain.
Okay.
And I've made an exam that I can then tell the exams team this is the exam that they need to link to.
Okay. All right,
Yeah.
I'm with you. All right, so the first thing is this thing, whatever it is, it needs to not be in the grade book. So I'm going to edit it.
I don't think I've put it in the grade book. Yeah.
Not in the grade book. Okay, that part is good.
Yeah.
It's interesting that you chose to put it together as an actual quiz item. Anyway, we
What's
could talk
the
about
other
that
option?
another time. Well, we could put things somewhere in the discussion forum and link to it. We could put it in the instructions for the exam itself and link to it from somewhere. We can find another way. But anyway, you and I can deal with that some other time.
Yeah. Okay.
Let's have a look at this one. This one is linked to the gradebook. At the moment, what I'm going to do is link it to an existing area, which is in fact Wagga distance, end of session
Yeah.
examination.
Yeah.
That takes care of the linking part. I noticed that it's still hidden, so the students won't see it at this point, which is fine.
Yeah, they shouldn't. Yeah.
And you're going to want the exams team to work with that when they're doing their thing at some point.
Yeah, see, every
Okay.
single one of my subjects has an online invigilated end of session exam, so I'm going to have to do this for every single one of them. So
yeah, and I think we want more detail from how they're going to handle the process from their side as well. But
yes,
we're going to do everything we can to make sure that your side of the setup is done.
Yeah.
So we link to the right columns. We now need to get rid of the superfluous ones. So I'm going to go into manage grades up the top. I get my top down. I'm going to hit more actions, delete. And I'm going to leave the ones that start with Wagga distance. We link them. I can't select them anyway.
Yeah.
And get rid of that one and that one.
Makes total sense. Okay, cool. And now
Delete.
I just need to know how the exams team are going to deal with this stuff.
That's exactly right.
Watch this space.
That's it. Yep, I will chase that up as well and get some more information from them. I suggest maybe they're still figuring it out, but who knows?
Okay, thank you, friend.
You're welcome. Kelly.
All right, Doya has a question saying that on the quick eval pages for ISL 355 and ISL 455, there's nothing there. Is that normal?
It's normal because you won't see anything in quick eval until the students start making submissions.
Okay, all right. That's something automatically created then.
Yeah, they start appearing once the students start submitting. Even one submission, you'll see the dashboard active at that point. So if I open this, for example, and jump into quick eval.
Yeah.
And you can see you've got two tabs, an activities view and a submissions view. If we switch to the activities view, it's not doing anything for me. Submissions view, there's no activity yet from the student. So it's waiting for them to start doing things, and then you'll start seeing that breakdown of your tasks. So it would end up looking like, let's pick on medicine. Oh, okay. So they're finished and done with the subject now, so I can't show it to you in that one. That's annoying. All right, let's try this one. No, why am I looking at the class list? Sorry, quick eval. We said quick eval. All right, now we're talking. So yeah, you'll start seeing these once the students start making submissions into the site.
I see.
Okay.
All right. Can I ask another question about
Sure.
under the communication for the Zoom link?
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't use my default Zoom link, so I ended up creating links.
Mm-hmm.
It just shows up only up to a certain number. It should be 12 lectures for 12, sessions.
Yes.
But it doesn't appear. It's less than it is.
What was the subject code again? Sorry, ISL?
Yeah, ISL 355. So my question is, can I use default link as well without creating link for each subject?
You can. In fact, there's been a real development in the Zoom online tool in the last couple of weeks, and that is that we can now actually import meetings like Zoom IDs up here in the top right-hand corner. See where it says import meeting?
Yes.
As long as you've got the meeting ID from the other room that you're using, you can bring it in here and use it in this space as well. So that's for a pre-existing Zoom meeting if you've created. This one is showing me just this many occurrences.
It's supposed to be 12, at least 12 sessions, and it doesn't appear here. Is that
was that to do with how you set it up maybe?
I know it is 12 lectures. I tried to make it for 12 lectures, but it doesn't show up there.
Maybe if you want to send me an email, we can look at it together. The other thing as well is that when you create them in this tool, they'll also appear in the student calendar on the front page. So we should also see those sessions. So is that the name of the tutorial? Is it Women in Islam and Islamic Cultures?
It is.
Okay. If you can, try and get specific with the naming of your Zoom meetings as well. Like if it's a weekly online tutorial, put that in brackets or something so that it's quite distinctive in the calendar and things. It'll just help for people to figure out what type of event it is. That's all.
Okay, all right. And also, when I look at my Zoom app, I can see that all the, yes, 12 lectures appear, but not necessarily in the Brightspace. Maybe it will come out later.
Yeah, that's pretty curious. It should show all of the events, but I noticed that I didn't have any subsequent pages to scroll between. Yeah, so anyway, send me an email. We'll have a look at it together.
Okay, sure, thank you.
No problem. I'll go a few more. Kel, what else have we got?
Just a comment or a question regarding adding a column for comments in the gradebook. There's no
Yep.
issue with that.
That's okay, Kelly.
Oh.
Sarah just said that she's already asked the question. And
Yes, but I thought it was in there earlier. I did see that it was in, and now it's not there. So now I'm a little concerned again.
Can you give me a subject
there's-
code?
Well, just any of the subjects that you're looking at, really, for the 60 session. Sheree, do you want to give one of your codes? Except you're on mute.
mine's up there now, EPT 122.
Excellent.
Oh, there we go. So if we have a look in the grade columns, the grade book.
Okay, I can see comments up the
Oh,
top.
comments. It's already there.
Oh,
Okay.
comments. It's already there. Okay, so where? Okay, so that's all right.
Yeah, it was
can you go
in
back to
my
the grade?
EEP
Sorry.
400 that I didn't have comments.
I think this needs to be added in manually, like when you add in
Okay.
columns like this. And the way that we do that is to add a new item, right? A
Right.
new item means new column, and the type of column that we're adding is a text column. It's down the bottom. Call it
Oh,
whatever
good
you
idea.
like. So if this is going to be assessment 1 comments, or if it's going to be comments around Lachlan's dress sense or whatever, make sure the name is specific enough for what you need it for. Add it in there. It's not going to have anything to do with the gradebook. You can also choose whether or not underneath restrictions, whether or not you want to make this visible to students or not as well. So you can hide the column when you make
Okay.
it. And
Yep.
then we can hit save and close. And there it is, sitting there at the moment.
And so, Lachlan, sorry to ask, does that need to be made for every assignment, or can it be made as a general grade book item?
Completely up to you. If you want to have just one general comments column in the gradebook that you're going to utilize, then you just create the one. If you want one specifically for each, I think it's because we're coming from, with I2, quite often people were using a comments column for moderation around particular tasks. Yes. Sometimes it had other things going on as well that they were using it for. So really it's discretionary at that point.
Okay, and I think it's important too that what I've got to do is hide that comments so the students don't see it, because that's for our grade stuff. So so I just do that. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Well, that's easy.
Okay. Yeah, so I'll have to let our staff know how to do that. That's fine, not a problem. Woo!
All right, so and if you want to get rid of them as well, same thing, more actions, delete, and then you pick the column that you want to get rid of. If it was that one, for example, that I just made, and away it goes. Okay, and if you don't like the order that they're in, again, more options, reorder is at the top of that, and then it'll say, which one do you want to go first, second, third? If I wanted the comments to be the thing at the end, I can do that. If I wanted administrative override to be the thing at the end. So you can change the order of the columns around however you like. Hit save.
Fabulous. And how did you get into... Sorry.
Go ahead.
No, how did you get into that?
Oh, right. Sorry, that's underneath more actions. It's where you get reorder and delete. They're arguably the two most popular functions in a grade book, but...
Okay, that's great. Thank you.
No problem. Now, Marie-Louise has a question about reflective journals. You want to come off mute and tell me what we're talking about here?
Okay, so the subject is THL 204.
Okay.
And the assessment if you look under communications first, I've set it up under discussions, and it's been set up in a way that only the students, so that reading and reflection there is set up so the students can only see their own.
Is it an accessible topic?
And it is accessible, but I wasn't sure how to set it up before we got to this stage.
Yeah.
So
Do you have your columns yet?
an item for it, and there is a column in the gradebook for it, but I don't know how to link the assessment item, the discussion, and the gradebook.
So the moment that you click inside the grade out of field,
Yes.
so at the moment, this is not accessible, right? The way that it's been set up.
okay.
Well, the moment that you click out of grade out of, you'll notice that the gradebook option then appears.
Yes.
And then you can link to existing.
Yep.
Find the option in the list.
Yep.
I'm guessing it's the first one.
That. Yep.
And now it's linked. It's going to pull this 15-point value across over here to
Okay.
give us our weighting. And now when we hit save and close, it's set up so that once you start marking and scoring out of 15 for this, for example, it'll flow across into the gradebook.
Okay. So I do not need an actual assessment item in assessments for it.
No, they'll be submitting in here. You'll be marking in here.
Yes.
Now, are they making one post or multiple posts?
Three posts.
Out of 5 each, something like that?
Yes.
Right. So underneath evaluation and feedback over here on the right-hand side, this is specific to discussion posts. There's an option here that allows you to mark each individual post.
Yep.
It'll tally those scores to give you that total out of 15. Otherwise, it would only give you one box and you have to figure out what the mark is out of 15 and type it in.
Yeah. And so that would allow me to give them feedback as they go along.
That's right.
It's also
Against
a
each
rubric. So if we click on that, you're in my thing, so that will do it for me.
I'll just point out that in this, when you choose to rate individual posts, it then asks, how do we calculate it? What we're looking for is to add them up.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So under the rubric, I have a rubric for it. Should I attach it there?
It's up to you. If you think there's value, or you want the students to get the rubric back as part of their feedback, you can do that, and it will give you the same rubric tool that you have in the assignment tool. So it's if you want them to use that, or if you think that it being in the subject outline is enough, that's discretionary. This is up to you. Do you want to use the rubric tool as part of your marking or not?
So I normally do, but the thing is, then if I'm doing 3 posts, would I then? I mean, you're going to be adjusting it for each 3 ones. That would be difficult.
Is it a quantitative rubric or a qualitative rubric?
Qualitative, I think.
Let's attach it and we can have a look at how it behaves, before you sort of start getting to it anyway.
Yeah. So it is the top one, reading and reflection.
Right. I'm curious as well whether or not it attaches the rubric to every submission that they make, or it's just one up the top. If it's more of a problem if it's quantitative, because it'd be determining what the score is through the rubric. If it's qualitative, less of a thing. I don't know. It might just be a reference point. I don't know. We can always remove it. Let's leave it in for the moment, and then we'll have a look and see how it behaves in a day or two, I think.
Yeah. And that was the only thing I needed to know. And I'd asked somebody on the team to talk to me about it. They said, let's wait till this week. And you just answered the question. So I'll be able to tell her when we don't need a meeting.
Oh, good.
So I can take out the assessment.
Yep.
So just delete that and just do it in communication.
I would, absolutely. It's already linked to the gradebook column, so you no longer need an assignment specifically for that item.
Yeah.
The only reason that people might be tempted to do that is if they needed it to go through Turnitin, for example, because the Turnitin integration is only connected to the assignment tool.
Assignment tool. Well, no, it's fine.
Okay.
It doesn't need to be there.
Yep.
So to see that it's reflected.
These ones need to be linked. The assignments I'm looking at here, some of the other ones, they're going to need to be.
I'm only just starting this process, and the translation and exegetical notes ones hasn't arrived in my grade book yet, in the mark book yet.
Oh,
it'll-
right. It's not in the, yeah. I'm with
yeah,
you.
and I thought I'd do them all together, so I'm waiting for it to come.
Excellent.
So with
Yep.
the reflective reading one, I
Yep.
need to delete that now. So
Sure.
I would just go in and delete that.
Right there.
Have you already gone into the delete action there?
Yep.
Excellent.
You happy for me to get rid of it?
Yep, absolutely.
Okay.
So all you did was to go into there and do the edit delete.
Yeah, so the
click
drop
on that,
one of
yeah.
the options when you hit the drop down is delete. You
Yeah,
can edit it,
yeah.
you can delete it, etc. from there.
Excellent. So that means that I only have 3 assignments there and 1 coming from the journal.
From the discussion tool, absolutely. Yep.
Okay, excellent. I think that's all I need to ask. So I shall get out of the way so someone else can ask.
No worries. I think I'll take one more for today, and then I've got to get ready for this afternoon's prepare session, I'm afraid. So I'll have to call it at that one. We will be having these every day at 12 o'clock. So by all means, I think this week will all be about assessment for all of them. So by all means, come to others. You're more than welcome. Kel, I'll let you choose. Do we have one more?
We have one more question. It was from David, just about importing Zoom links.
Okay.
If we can just do a bit of a walkthrough.
Oh, sure. Yep. Okay. So this is a new thing. It's very exciting for me.
Would it help you to know, Lachlan, why I've asked that?
Is it about paired subjects?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Then I'm all over it.
Oh, okay, great.
So do you have 2 subjects you'd like to give me an example for?
Yes, THL 106 and THL 409.
Okay, so which one are we creating it in and which one are we bringing it into?
I'd like the base site, if that makes sense, to be the 106.
Okay, so inside this tool, inside the communication option, online meeting Zoom.
Yeah.
It's going to open the tool for us.
I'm also a little bit I'm still getting my head around the fact that I haven't created these because we have 2 separate cohorts on 2 different campuses, and I'm still getting my head around how we provision that for 2 different cohorts so that they're seeing different Zoom meetings and so forth.
I can help you with that. We'll do it. We might set up a meeting outside of this, but the short answer is we do it through the calendar tool rather than worry about it inside here. In Zoom, we create all the meetings that you need to create, and then we'll do the restricting through the calendars in those subject sites.
Right. Okay.
All right. So
okay. Well,
let's go through the process of setting one up.
Okay. So, but doing this won't like it. Yeah, okay, let's do it.
Let's do it. Oh, well, okay, you're worried about the students getting a comms or something as a result?
No, I'm not so much worried about my students getting that. I'm concerned that students in another cohort, because we're all sharing the same session site.
Yep.
That's what I would be concerned about, is that that this goes through to people who haven't ever heard of me, don't want to ever hear from me, etc., etc.
All right. So what we'll do, well, like I won't finish the publishing process. I can show you what it looks like first, right? But when we go to schedule a new meeting, let's say, for example, that you called it something like weekly online tutorial or whatever. What I would be saying, particularly when you've got specific cohorts that you want this information to be for, start by labeling this with that cohort in mind.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
So if this was,
we've done that in the master site, so that's easy.
Yep. Right. So if this was for a particular cohort A, whatever the case might be, right? And we're setting up your recurring meeting. So we pick the first day that it's going to run. So if it was going to be, for example, starting on
Wednesday, the 10th of July.
Wednesday, the 10th of July at 8 o'clock at night, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, something.
5:30 p.m.
5:30 p.m. runs for an hour. You don't, the time periods.
No, I goes till at least, I'd make it 3 hours, 8:30.
Okay, 3 hours. All right. Now, is this something that's going to recur each week?
Recurring weekly.
Recurring weekly, and it's going to be recurring each week. We said it was on a Wednesday, not a Tuesday,
Correct.
interestingly.
Correct.
And then normally what I do when I'm first creating these,
Yeah, 14.
I usually put in here 14 occurrences. Exactly right. I can delete the superfluous ones where there are breaks and things. But this creates this inside the meeting. You don't have to worry about co-hosts, etc. with this tool, because if they're coming through the subject site, it will automatically determine whether or not they have host rights or not. So your other teachers and things.
Yeah.
Your settings that we have in here at the moment, or rather it's picking up my profile settings, is that I generally allow them to join and I don't automatically record. Yep. Now, if I hit save here, it's going to create them and add them in the calendar. So
let me do that. It's important that I do that.
I'll let you do that part.
Yeah.
All right. So the end result, if I hit cancel here and show you my training site, is that you're going to get not only the selection of Zoom meetings appearing inside here, we wait for it to populate. All of these tools are so much slower for me than everybody else because I've got too much access to too many systems. All right, so here's my list of recurring meetings that I've made inside here. In creating them, they've also appeared in the calendar inside the subject site as well. If they're in the calendar, it means the students will get reminders 2 days usually. I think they get it on the day, and with assessments, they get it 2 days before. But what you want from the one side is to copy the meeting ID, Control C, then you can go to another site, open up the Zoom tool, and then up here on the top right-hand corner, there are 3 dots that will give you import meeting.
Yeah.
Paste in the code that you just copied, and it brings in all of those meetings. You're going to get a message saying, oh, I've already put it into this one beforehand, but you can copy in that meeting in here and it will appear in the list. I think I've already done it with this same subject site before. So it'll appear in here and in the calendar for all these students in the second site as well.
I think, Lachlan, that single point has made my week. I think.
Have a try on your side. I think it'll work fine. I've done it a lot of times in the last 2 days, seeing that whether it was working or not. It said that it was already associated. I think it's because I brought it in here already. Yeah. So anyway, once you do that, I might get you to send me an email and I can show you how, when we work in the calendar events, if I have a look at the list, say this tutorial is one of your Zoom meetings, right? What we have access to, it is a Zoom meeting. There's the link. If I actually go and edit this event, I've got the ability to determine who gets this under attendees, right? If I change that, it will actually detect in your session site. It's not doing it because I'm in a master, but in a session site, it'll show all of the cohorts and you can see and decide which cohorts get invited to this meeting. So that's how you do it. Create the Zoom meetings first, all of them, and then you change the calendars and say, I want this to only go to this lot and this to only go to this lot. And then it'll restrict it and they won't get reminders, emails, etc., unless they're in that cohort.
That is brilliant.
All right. I'm aware I've got 5 minutes before the next workshop, so we might call it there, folks. I'll stop the recording.